Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Well Played, Sir. Well Played, written by FarmWitch4275. We came across the first world many years ago. It wasn't our first successful colony world beyond the cradle, but it was, and remains to this day, the best world we had ever found. Perfection incarnate. It was the definition of paradise world. Beautiful landscapes, incredible vistas, incredible farming soil, and mineral-rich rock. Colonists flooded the place before we could even lay claim to it properly, and sought everything out the right way. By the time official channels were open, mines were in full swing, farms were producing double the amount of our own, and the planet's population was in the millions. The planet quickly developed into the center of our empire, small as it was. Then, at the cusp of Emperor declaring the world a national treasure, our explorations team found another one, larger, more spacious, rich with truly mind-boggling quantity and quality of mineral resources. The entire planet was made of canyons, beautiful river basins, geothermal vents, and a volcano that spewed gold and silver, rich ash, and rock. It made us rich almost overnight. Within 1 year, our economy skyrocketed to twice what it was, and 4 times that within the second year. Our second economy took a leap forward, and we used the planet and its surrounding mineral-rich asteroid fields to start a massive shipbuilding industry. We had officially started proper factories producing starships and starship fuel, and with it, the rights of a true empire. Then we found another one, an ocean world full of some of the largest, finest, and most beautiful fish we could imagine. Our food supply tripled. Then we found another one. This one made of flat plateaus and strangely regular rainfall, becoming our breadbasket. Farms popped up, and the empire, for its time, faced its first real challenge: population. There were too many places to live and too few people to live in. Real estate, even on those paradise worlds, became a buyer's market, selling land cheap as dirt for the sake of just getting people to settle and breed. It wasn't the easiest thing we knew. It was a good problem to have, to be honest. Then we found another one. And this one made us question reality. This one made our scientists and scholars' minds melt. An ocean world whose continents were in the sky, miles above the ocean floor, teeming with life. We settled in and noticed how everything seemed too precise. We started to think more and question more, noticing something odd about each world. The sky world, as we called it, was a catalyst to make us start questioning everything we found. Terraforming, massive-scale precision, unnaturally fast terraforming processes on each of our paradise worlds. The more we looked, the more we noticed. Similar ocean life changed only in small ways due to local biological evolution. Fish with swords for faces, blue-scaled fish from one planet, green-blue scales on another planet, slightly smaller or slightly larger. Phytoplankton and coral reefs that share a similar ancestry point across planets. Bird species that shared a similar function in ecosystem. Same bird calls, slightly larger or smaller depending on the world. Different for their location, similar in appearance. Every trace of technology used to terraform these worlds vanished. Scientists and the excavation teams digging and finding nothing. Not even a trace of refined metal or civilized contact of any kind. Then we discovered the Imbakandi, an empire twice our size with half the aggression, settling on a paradise world with massive behemoth creatures their colonists could use for housing and farming. That world was also a terraformed paradise world catering to the massive beasts that inhabited it. The beasts would move around within giant canyons and around mountains, allowing mineral acquisition by scraping mountain walls. The Imbakani quickly became business partners as we desperately wanted to gain access to the beautiful Sarak flower, a pretty thing and a pretty useful connector for medical salves. But we both noticed the similarities. They had a dozen worlds that most people in the galaxy would consider paradise. We had 8 by that point. How many more were there to be found? That's around the time we came across the Combinants, a religious empire of several different species worshipping the planets as gifts from gods. Each planet, via natural evolution, had its own unique natural resource. And each one had its own place in the galactic market. Each unique resource solved one problem or another in one way or another, and each planet appeared to have been manufactured or terraformed in some way. And then we noticed something about the orbit. We collated more data, questioned more things, found more worlds to explore, exploit, and settle, encountering 2 more empires in the process, and more information. Eventually, we noticed a pattern. Each planet was within its parent star's habitable zone in the same way, either close enough to absorb enough radiation or far enough away to not get scorched. Each one was either a third or fourth planet from its star. Any system that didn't fit that criterion was basically the same as any other planetary system. Each planet had roughly the same combination of roughly 200 recognizable species of avian, arthropod, predator, prey, herbivore, carnivore, and various fish species, depending on the planets in question. Each one different in some way, based on at least a few generations of evolution on the new world. Each planet was saturated in mineral wealth and had some variation of unique quality that, even if it were not paradise by itself due to habitability, would make it a prime candidate for settlement. Each planet was somehow engineered in some way to sustain its own mineral wealth through tectonic activity, or maintain its own ecology through the complex but very robust ecosystem. The more we looked, the more we noticed the pattern unfold and how quickly it became to identify them. Third and fourth from the star, within around habitable zones, unique geology or ecology, similar species, and marketable resources. We also knew that, judging from soil sampling, tectonic activity, and various other processes from our studies, each planet took less than 100 galactic cycles to fully terraform. Some directly from barren rock to verdant dreams within an astonishingly small amount of time. Well, we sorted out the what and how. Now we asked ourselves, well, this is great and all, but who would do this, and why would they do it? Our own experiments in terraforming produce abysmal results, even following the same pattern. Any attempt of ours to terraform a planet would be an investment of several decades, if not centuries, and those attempts would result in the necessity of constant maintenance. We appreciated the gift, of course, but we genuinely wanted to know who and why. It made little sense to expend a gargantuan quantity of energy to make these planets, then just up and leave. Then, one day, one of our scouting teams sent an urgent communication via an unsecured channel. It was a picture of a mostly intact superstructure orbiting and still harvesting the energy from one of the galaxy's deadliest phenomena, a magnetar, a massive star system-sized gigastructure of herethro unimagined proportions. A system of 3 interconnected structures, an inner core holding the star, an outer ring processing materials, and an outer ring acting as a sort of flat ribbon planet of some kind. We wasted no time and ordered an expedition. The entire star system had nothing in it, no ships, no signs of its creators, and no sign of habitation. The inner core held the star in place, using one of the most complex shield arrays that we had ever seen at a gargantuan scale to hold the dead star in place, while it used the shielding to redirect the absorbed magnetic energy into our harvesting arrays that would presumably somehow convert that pure magnetic energy into power, fuel, or resources. Somehow, the second ring was used to store the harvested energy and convert or refine it into some kind of odd, scary-looking purple fluid. That fluid was then converted into almost anything. Then the third ring, one our team dubbed the Ring World, existed far on the outer rim of the star's influence. It was a flat plane, soaked up by the star's immeasurable light emissions, with an atmosphere maintained by massive structures and gravity generation systems. The mere existence of the structure was proof enough that an ancient civilization of immeasurable power and technology was living within our galaxy. They were creating gargantuan structures and randomly terraforming large portions of the galaxy to be habitable. For some reason, we had to find them, but first, regardless of that, the whole galaxy at large sent massive fleets to colonize the Ring World. Within weeks, we had the first farms being seeded, and they were growing so fast the farmers couldn't keep up with the harvests. The energy production was so vast that we had to start exporting the mysterious goo that, when made to do something by a specific computation matrix we found, could be used to manufacture literally anything and everything, if you had enough of it. Strangely, the computation systems contained no data relevant even in passing to its creators. The only thing present on any database was the facility's operating matrices and maintenance instructions, so detailed an amoeba could understand them. We kept exploring, kept expanding, using the planet of the Makers, as we called them, to expand our empire, eventually creating a grand confederacy of states, exploring and cataloging the galaxy together. Then someone noticed a more unusual pattern. A map was made some time after the discovery of the magnetar superstructure. a map of all the planets in the galaxy that would terraform Paradise Worlds. It was top-down so far. It made a pattern similar to words. In fact, they were words. The galaxy's map we had discovered thus far showed that each planet had been made in some way, if looked top-down, made symbols and signs in a coherent language. We started to notice large chunks of the wording missing and triangulating coordinates using the missing chunks based on the language data that we could get. We managed to find, in the places we expected to find them, Paradise planets. The pictures became clearer, as if the makers were using the stars themselves as the ink for the message to us. Now it became a journey of discovery of questions. What were they trying to tell us? Was there some kind of secret to the universe? Was there a reason for this elaborate operation because the secret was so devastating we needed to be a certain level of knowledge and technology before we could know, and this was our test. A gold rush of sorts started, to find whatever we could find, map it, and add it to the picture. The answer was in the stars, and was ours for the taking. The journey began, and we began using the magnetar's dry docks and resources to start building massive fleets of long-range, long-distance ships, huge, self-sustaining dreadnought-class vessels that could travel anywhere, mine their own resources, make their own parts, and grow their own food supply. We now had the technology. The makers provided us with all we could ask for. The magnetar systems alone provided us with a limitless well of reverse-engineered technology, and the food supply was guaranteed by the various Paradise Worlds resources. We had a mission, and by the makers, we were going to accomplish it. The most notable thing we found was that the makers were called humans, and they hailed from a Class 12 Deathworld. We found derelict ships floating in the cosmic debris, lost starbases and forgotten stations adrift in the empty void between stations, abandoned mining outposts, and various other things. An entire fleet of human-made warships, gently orbiting a dying star. An entire planet, in the farthest reaches from their parent star, converted into a gargantuan planetary computation complex. There was very little information to be had from these sources. They all followed the exact same pattern. A civilization at the height of its power simply stopped what it was doing, neatly packed away its belongings, and then vanished from the universe. No signs of struggle, no contest, no questions. They got up from whatever they were doing at the time, tidied up their rooms, and then disappeared into the quantum foam without a trace. We encountered several more superstructures, including a massive structure the humans called a Dyson sphere, encapsulating a blue giant star. It produced immeasurable quantities of energy, though for what reason we didn't know. It didn't stop us from harvesting all their power, though. We discovered something called the Stellar Engine, a gargantuan-sized starship composed of several planets bolted together by a massive gigastructure, or using a star as its power core. We didn't really know what to do with that one. Another thing was the Ultra Shipyard, which is ostensibly just another starship dry dock, only the size of an entire star system, using an anchored neutron star as its fuel and resource forge. No matter what we found, though, it was all the same. Mostly deleted or wiped memory cores, no occupants of any trace of previous owners, all of it gone, again, as if they stood up and packed up and buggered off. Still, we had enough data to get the rough explanation of the overall culture and variants of the species. Mammalian, ape-like, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 feet and 2 hands, 1 head, etc. We had no time scale to go by, though. That was until we found it. Tucked not so neatly away in a rogue star outside the galaxy's influence was a singular star system, consisting of a relatively dim brown dwarf. We found it, because a part of the message written in the stars pointed us to it with an arrow sign. If only all secrets were this easy to find. Orbiting this brown dwarf, gently floating amongst empty space, was a lone human warship, maybe a cruiser class by our standards. On board we found an actual human corpse, an actual human, mummified and gone through many millennia's worth of mummification in a frozen void of the ship, but an actual human nonetheless. A truly magnificent find. Less importantly, a full cultural archive and data set, various artworks, and even a full encyclopedia of glossary and terminologies, and, more importantly, a map of the galaxy. Every star, every derelict, every planet, every single last thing they ever did or found was on this map. It took us months to pore through the data. There was a lot of it, but someone found something. The last words from a human found on the derelict, recorded in audio form. I'll be damned to hell if I'm not going to get the last laugh after all the crap I've been through. Ascension my ass. I'll go when I'm damn well ready for it. I'll give them something, yeah, I know, the perfect final middle finger, the greatest in history. They'll have to look down on it from heaven or up at it from hell. And every time it's going to sting. I've only known for 800 years. It's only indigestion. You don't know a damn thing, and I've made up my own game. I ain't sharing my feelings, and you gotta listen to me now. You hear that? I'll be there when you're damn ready. Sounded less like an enlightened maker of paradise worlds, and more like some crouchy older curmudgeon with an addiction to his own grudges. As it turns out, humanity was not erased or wiped out. Humans were an extragalactic entity from a faraway galaxy that came here to discover new frontiers thousands of years prior to us joining the void. People back in their home world created some kind of device we still don't know, and somehow ascended to a different plane of reality, ascending to a different kind of existence. Every human received the call to do this. They calmly packed their things, tidied up their homes, deleted all irrelevant data from their systems, and then vanished into the Ethereum altogether. The old guy, we found, apparently didn't like that. His life story being rather tragic. Lost wife, failed career, miserable childhood. As it turns out, he had too much rage, too much spite, and he ignored the call to join humanity, retrieving and repurposing their technology to create a terraforming tech used to create the paradise we all now enjoy. He then spent countless years terraforming planets to paradise worlds, changing the face of the universe forever, all to carve up a message, one final goodbye in the form of a map of paradise. We took a look at the map he gave us, and we quickly noticed a pattern. Every planet was marked, terraformed, and when we zoomed out to see the full galaxy, he had used his terraforming antics to write a message in the stars. He dedicated massive personal sacrifice for this project, and it was the last thing he did, apparently, dying happy and alone. Purely out of spite, not for any individual, but for the universe itself. A message carved into the stars themselves, a permanent reminder of this last act. It was song lyrics. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. We know the game, and we're going to play it. I'm just want to tell you how I am feeling. Going to make you understand. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you go. Never going to run around and desert you. Never going to make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. Never going to tell a lie and hurt you. The last thing he did was to rickroll the entire universe forever, purely out of spite. We as a galaxy are split on what to think about this. On one hand, we now have access to a society, technology, and countless paradise worlds, all because of him. On the other hand, now we know the context of it all, and the meme behind it. We're pretty pissed to get rickrolled. We aren't sure to be impressed at the effort or annoyed by it, because we live on those planets. We are permanently a part of this eternal rickroll while living in a literal paradise. We aren't really sure what to think about it, except, well played, sir. Well played. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.